Hello, and welcome back to Irene Works. I recently posted a survey asking you what you would like to see in the way of tutorials. The winner? It seems you would like to learn how to create a PowerPoint presentation. So guess what? Today I'm going to show you how to create engaging presentations using Microsoft PowerPoint. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Irene Smith, and I'll be your guide as we explore the essential features and tools of this powerful application for creating presentations. In this tutorial, we'll cover everything you need to know to get started with PowerPoint, from creating a new presentation to adding slides, inserting text, and incorporating multimedia elements. By the end of this tutorial, you'll have a solid understanding of PowerPoint's essential features and be able to create your own presentations with confidence. So, imagine this. It's Monday morning. You're seated at your desk, and if you're like me, you're drinking your first cup of coffee. The boss comes over and says, "You know that new project we've been working on? I think you should make a presentation at Friday's meeting so we can get buy-in for the project from upper management." You know that PowerPoint is installed on your work computer, but you've barely used it. You've seen a lot of PowerPoint presentations over the years, but you haven't made one yourself, or maybe you have, but the results were less convincing than you hoped. So let's get started by opening PowerPoint and creating a new presentation. And for the purposes of this tutorial, I have pinned PowerPoint to my taskbar. It's probably not the worst idea to do that if you're actively working on a presentation. It will get you to PowerPoint more quickly. However, there's always the possibility that you won't be allowed to add things to your taskbar. So you'll have to try it and see if it works. Let's get started. Oops, sorry. Here is PowerPoint. The first thing that you'll see when you run the program is a list of the presentations you worked on most recently, and a list across the top here of the templates that are available to you for creating presentations. These come with Microsoft Office and should be available to you. I have not created any special templates for PowerPoint myself, and actually it's an interesting idea to consider for the future. A lot of companies will create a presentation template that uses the company logo, the company colors, and so forth, so that it will get you started with the right look and feel for your presentation. But let's create a presentation for ourselves. For the purposes of our tutorial, I have chosen to use Frosty Design. And once I select the template that I want to use, all I have to do is click Create. Now we've got a basic presentation. This presentation includes several slides to give you an idea of what to do. You'll see that there is a title slide, of course, a section heading slide that shows what the presentation is going to be about, just gives you a quick outline. And then this slide is titled The Power of Communication, and that's something that you're going to talk about. This is actually a rather useful tutorial to read to learn about making the most of creating presentations. If you're following along, pause the video and read through it before we continue. I'll wait. The first thing I did here was to remove all but the first 3 slides from the project, and we will add some slides back in but I wanted to get things cleaned up. Okay, so this is the title of our new presentation, Creating Presentations. And this first slide gives an overview of the entire presentation. Picking it would be nice, thank you. This is the agenda. This is what we're going to talk about today. And by the way, in case you're curious, that photograph is of the Delaware River, which is right near the town that I live in, this area. It's an overlook, and I can remember loving to go there when I was a kid. The road in the background there that you can see, that really twisty road, is called the Hawk's Nest. I assume because hawks nest there. But anyway, let's get back to our project at hand. So the agenda is just a quick overview of what we're going to talk about in the presentation. Starts with an introduction, which you've already heard, actually. Followed by a getting started section, which we're doing now. And then we'll talk about adding slides, saving the project, and how you present the work at the end, how you make it into a presentation. So let's back up. Let's go to the next slide. And this is the setting up the presentation section. Step 1 is remove the sample slides, then add section heading slides. And the section heading slide should be the broad subjects that you're going to cover in the presentation. And then save the project, just so that we know it's there and not going to disappear from us. I always do that pretty early when I'm working on a project, when I'm working on a file, because I can remember times when I was first getting started with computers when I would get so involved working with the file, the document, the presentation, the whatever, that I would forget to save. And then the power would go off, and that would be the end of that project. I'd have to start all over from scratch. You don't want to do that. You really, really don't want to do that. So save it. Once you've saved your project, we can start adding detail slides for each section. But I'm going to pause for a moment, and when I come back, we'll finish adding the major headers. Once we've done that, we will add some details, and then we're going to save it, and I will show you how to present the presentation. However, there's lots more that can be done that we will want to do, but that will be for next week. Okay, I have simplified this project as much as possible, and I'm going to quickly step through the slides, and then, well, you'll see. Okay, so we've created our project. We have added slides. This is our overview. The agenda, what are we going to talk about? The introduction you've seen, the getting started you've seen. We'll talk about adding slides, saving the project in a moment. And finally, today we will talk about presenting your work. Okay, setting up the presentation. We remove the sample slides, which takes only a second. All you have to do is select the slides. You can select the slides in this column, and you can right click, and I'm not going to actually do it, but you can delete the slide. You'll see it's right around the middle of the list. And that will get rid of all of the template slides that you would want to get rid of. So we're setting up the presentation. We've removed the sample slides. Now we're going to add a new slide for each section of the presentation. It's a really easy way to go from an outline that you've created for yourself to a finished presentation. So we can go, let's see where we might want to add one. I don't know. Let's just add it at the end. Yes, that gives away next week. So on the home palette here, you can click new slide, and here you've got a whole list of the slides that you can add to this project. We've talked about the section header already, and the others you can figure out, but play around with them. I mean, take the time to try some experimentation. You've got a section header, you've got subtitles with a picture, you've got pictures with a caption, you've got content with a caption, you've got blank, totally blank, and this is what we're working with. So what I have done during this pause, I added section headers. Saving your work. Well, we've got the first one is setting up the presentation, adding section headers, saving your work, and now how to present your presentation. So we're almost there. We're really getting close. Going to pause again for a moment, going to add some context to the saving your work, and then we'll come back. I had already saved the sample presentation we were working on once. And so the reaction that I would get from clicking the save button would not have been the same as what you will see when you've just created a presentation and haven't saved it yet. So this is a brand new presentation. I haven't done anything to it, but I am going to save it or show you how to save it. I am going to click this button that looks like a diskette, this icon, and what happens when I do that is that I get an opportunity to save the file. And if you use OneDrive, as I do, they'll want you to save it in OneDrive Personal. And for the most part, that's perfectly fine, unless you have a different organization of files on your computer, unless you particularly want to have it saved locally. Either way, at this point, you give the presentation a title. Yet another presentation. And then click Save. Or just hit the Enter key, in which case it will save anyway. So now that I've showed you that, I'm going to go back to the original presentation and I will show you how to run the presentation. Normally what will happen when you're presenting a presentation is that you will have your laptop connected to a display such as a projected screen or a large monitor in a meeting room. And what will happen is you'll start the presentation and what you see on your laptop screen will not be exactly the same as what you will see on the main display. And the main display will only be the content of the slides. But let's see what you see when you run the presentation. So to get it started, the easiest way is with the first slide selected, we point at, it's really hard to see probably on this display, on the video, but it looks like a little play button, sort of, kind of. Anyway, when I click it, it will go to to presenter mode. And presenter mode shows the slides. And I really need to hear about that. Anyhow, the presenter mode, we'll talk about things like that later. Presenter mode shows the slides on the left, just as they will be displayed for people watching the presentation. And on the right is a smaller view of the slide along with any notes that you have added. And you'll notice this says this section is the space where you add notes to the presentation to remind yourself of things you want to say. You can see this information when you're giving the presentation. You'll see how. And I said we'll talk about this more later. Well, this is later. And so this is what we end up seeing. When I've done describing this slide, I press the forward button and I'm on the next slide, which shows, in this case, the agenda for this slide presentation, that we're going to have an introduction, a getting started section, a section on adding slides, a section on saving the project, and a second section on presenting your work. And I'm having a horrible time talking today, forgive me. Okay, so I haven't really gone into a lot of detail on these individual slides. If I was really giving a presentation on giving presentations, there would be lots more information here than I have. But just to have something to show you, here are the section headers, or adding section headers, saving your work, and the last one on how to present your presentation. And by the way, you should know this image that's on the screen was, I found this on a website called Pixabay. I use Pixabay for not only for images, but for videos and for sound effects as well. It's a really good place to get stuff like that. The website is Pixabay, Pixabay.com. And I've been using them for years. So this is the end of the actual presentation, and it's the end of this week's video. Next time I'm going to show you how to add images, videos, and transitions to the project so that the slides don't just change from one to the other. How to set up the timing for a slideshow. And the reason for that would be that you can, once we've done that, and I'm going to talk about how to do this, you can save your presentation as a video. So you can add your narration, you can add your timing, and you can actually give somebody an MP4 file that has all the information in this presentation. So, you know, make one of those just in case. You never know when you're going to need it. So anyway, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate it very much if you did. I would appreciate if you would like this video, turn on notifications so that you'll see when I publish my new videos every Wednesday. And also, if you really like my work and you find it useful, you can buy me a coffee. Thanks ever so much, and I'll see you next Wednesday.